Everybody, welcome back to the Let's Talk About It podcast. I am your host, Adrian Jimenez, here with another episode. Today, I know it's been a minute. I'm sorry. We're back. Normal scheduled program, just like I always say. But we are here. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm not gonna talk too much in the detail about every game. I'm just gonna tell you about my week 11 game predictions, how I did this week's predictions, offensive defense player of the week. We're gonna do a little bit of power rankings, MVP race, a little bit of news, and we're just gonna jump straight into it. So, welcome back, everybody. How you guys doing? I haven't seen you guys in a minute. Missed you guys. You know, it's been a minute. I love you guys. So, week 11, we had a good week. Had a good week fantasy wise. Have a good week game prediction wise. Had a good week my own game wise. So, let's get straight into it. Week 11 started off with Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night football. I had the Baltimore Ravens going into this game, and I got that correct. Obviously, we had a few injuries in that game. Joe Burrow was out for the rest of the season. Mark Andrews out for the rest of the season. Unfortunate for both of those teams. For Cincinnati, I don't think playoffs is in sight right now. They started off too slow. Then right when they were about to get hot, Joe Burrow's out for the rest of the year. So I don't think playoffs should be something they shoot for, obviously, but me, I don't think it happens. Baltimore, yes, it sucks losing Mark Andrews. He was Lamar's favorite target, but you guys are lucky to have a guy like Isaiah Likely in the as a backup behind him, and Isaiah Likely is a good tight end. So I think Baltimore moving on, we'll have to adjust, but I think they'll be fine. Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. I had Cleveland in this game. I got it right. Nothing much really happened in this game. Was something that happened according to one of these teams that we'll talk about later. But Deshaun Watson had his surgery. It went well. He's on the real road to recovery. We got DTR playing as a starter. They signed Joe Flacco. Um, Besides this, it wasn't really a crazy game. It was a defensive matchup as everybody thought it was going to be. So, uh, yeah, good for Cleveland getting that W. Vegas, Miami. I had Miami in this game. Got it right. Miami's offense started off very, very hot. Not very, very hot, but had a touchdown, had a few good plays. Then we just slowly died down. Field goals for the rest of the game. It was pretty annoying, but our defense stepped up when we needed to be. Our defense is very. They have improved a lot from the beginning of the year, and our offense has slowed down. If our offense can pick it back up, I see us going pretty far in the playoffs. Vegas, they had a great game. If I was a Vegas Raiders fan, I would feel pretty good about this game. Only losing by 7 against this caliber of a team. You guys are just below 500, but it is what it is. Started off very slow. Antonio Pierce has been a great interim head coach. I hope he's there long term. Chicago versus Detroit. I had Detroit in this game, got it right. Jared Goff had one of his worst games of the year. 3 picks. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, 230 yards, but it is what it is. You can't throw 3 picks like that in a divisional game that I won't say it was must win, but it's at home divisional game. You guys want that win. So, um, luckily enough, they came back in the fourth quarter. We had Jared Goff with that dot to Jameson Williams, and then they drove down the field, got a tutty, and then Anthony Richardson finished the game off with that safety. So Chicago obviously still has a lot of work to do. If I was Chicago at this point, I think I would just play for draft picks. Tennessee versus Jacksonville. I had Jacksonville in this game, got it right. Um, Trevor Lawrence had a great game, one of his best games of the year, 4 total touchdowns. But there's still a lot of things that they need to improve on. Tennessee, they really didn't start off the greatest. They got that touchdown to D Hop, but besides that, it was really nothing much in this game. LA Chargers versus Green Bay Packers. I had the Chargers in this game, got it wrong. We're gonna talk about Green Bay for a second. Jordan Love, when he plays well, this team does well. They win games. He just needs to obviously turn down a lot of his mistakes, but you also need to give him some help. Aaron Jones and their backup running back both went down with an injury last week, so AJ Dillon's probably going to have to carry this team, but I don't think AJ Dillon has enough to be a number 1 running back like that. I think they would need somebody else. Sucks the trade deadline. It's past us. They just got to pick somebody off of waivers or just stick with AJ Dillon, which they're probably gonna do. The Chargers, man, Justin Herbert. I feel like Justin Herbert has had one of the worst lucks for a quarterback since he came into the league. Like you had that game against the Raiders where they could have tied. Raiders kicked the field goal. They missed the playoffs. Then they finally make the playoffs and they blow a 28-point lead to the Jags, and their head coach is still there. I will say this every week until I die. Brandon Staley needs to be fired. Arizona versus Houston. I had Houston in this game, got it right. CJ Stroud, my goodness. Last week I had him in the top 5 for the MVP candidate, but I had him at like 5, maybe 4. He's like 3 or 2 now. Like he is balling. Tank Dell, Nico Collins, those are two of his favorite. Dalton Schultz, all 3 of them are helping him as a quarterback and helping him develop. Um, Arizona, there's a lot of high points too. Kyler's back, they're playing great, but Houston is just the overall better team, and I feel them. I feel like they could win the South and make the playoffs. Well, if they win the South, they make the playoffs anyways. Dallas versus Carolina. This game, I had Dallas in this game, got it right. This game started off pretty slow for Dallas, and then they had that Deron Bland pick 6, and their defense turned up, and they scored. They really put this game away. Carolina, I don't know what's going on with them. Bryce Young obviously isn't having a great year. Frank Reich, I feel like he might be on the hottest seat in the NFL this year, but it's not my decision to make. If it was, I would fire him. New York versus Commanders. I had Commanders in this game. Got it wrong. Tommy DeVito is the next Eli Manning. I'm just kidding. Commanders O-line gave up like 6, 7 sacks this game, which is surprising because usually the Giants do that. But, you know, the Commanders make me so mad. They could drop 45 one week and lose to the Panthers next week. So I don't know what's going on with there. Sam Howell's leading the league in passing yards this year. Good for him, but doesn't translate much if you don't win games. Tampa versus San Francisco. I had San Francisco in this game, got it right. There was really nothing Tampa could do against this 49ers team because this 49er team is too unstoppable. New York versus Buffalo. I had Buffalo in this game, got it right. This was their Week 1 rematch. Josh Allen had a great game against this Jets defense, who has been playing pretty well, shutting down some quarterbacks. But you know, it is what it is. The Jets, you just got to pray Rodgers comes back faster than you expect. So, if you want to save this season. Seattle versus LA, I had Seattle in this game, got it wrong. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Gino got hurt. DK had a great game. Tyler was pretty quiet. Jackson Smith and Jigma had a few good catches. This Rams offense, or this Rams team, I didn't really watch this game that much, but this Rams team looked better. We're getting Stafford back, so you're good. Minnesota versus Denver. I had Minnesota in this game, got it wrong. Minnesota looked like the better team the entire game, and then Denver just came out of nowhere and rushed through that great ball up to Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is having one of his best years. I'm happy for him. He's been one of my favorite receivers in the NFL since he came into the league, and I'm happy to see him healthy and playing well. And then Philly versus Kansas City. I had Philly in this game, got it right. Super Bowl rematch. Kansas City had control of this game the entire time. Then Philly came out of nowhere, bomb to Devontae Smith, rushing touchdown by Jalen Hurts, and the offense couldn't move for the Chiefs. Travis Kelce fumbled. I feel like people were overlooking that a little bit just because MVS is a drop, but Travis Kelce fumbling in the red zone really, really hurt this team, so that's a tough one for them. That one should be talked about a little bit more, but, you know, Mahomes can't really do anything if nobody's catching the ball and holding on to it. So, for that week, I went 10-4. Great week for me. It's one of my best weeks of the year. Hopefully we can continue that streak with week 12. Speaking of week 12, we are here, week 12. Today is Wednesday. What time is it? 1:13 in the afternoon. We have three games tomorrow, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching this video. Hope you all have a great holidays. Spend time with the family, eat some great food, and blessed. Hope you all blessed today too, or tomorrow, today, tomorrow, for the rest of the life. I love you guys all. So, week 12, we're here. Green Bay versus Detroit. I'm gonna go with Detroit in this game. They've been one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Um, Green Bay's defense has been a little lackluster when it comes to the run, and Detroit has one of the better running back 1-2 punches in the league. So I'm gonna go with Detroit in this game. Dallas versus Washington. I'm gonna go with Dallas because they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Washington can't stop They can't stop the run. They can't get to the quarterback, and they are just dysfunctional. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys here. San Francisco versus Seattle. I'm going to go with San Francisco. We're not 100% sure about Geno's health. San Francisco obviously is one of the hottest teams in the NFL. I'm going to go with San Francisco divisional matchup. That's a good one. I like how that one's late game. Then we got that Friday night football. That sounds good. Friday night football. That's fire. Black Friday, Miami versus the Jets. I'm going to go with the Dolphins here. We're going to jump up to 8 wins. Tim Boyle is going to be the starter, and then Zach Wilson's the number 3 quarterback. So you can tell that Zach Wilson has lost this team, and it sucks because he had a few flashes, but he's also not a good quarterback. So the Jets, I feel like this Miami offense is going to struggle a little bit against this Jets defense, but I think our defense is just going to completely lock down the Jets offense. So we got and the next we got Tampa versus Indy on Sunday. I'm gonna go with Tampa here. I think Tampa overall is the better team. Indy, they're very up and down. They can play really well one week and then suck the next. So Tampa, I feel like they're more consistent. Baker's gonna have a good game. Shea White, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, whoever their tight end is, I forgot his name, Kate Otten. So I'm gonna go with Tampa here. New England versus the Giants. I'm gonna go with New England. This New England defense against that Giants O-line isn't going to be a fair game. The quarterback play in this game isn't going to be non-existent, but it is what it is. I'm going to go with the Patriots. Hold on, let me scoop my chip. There you go. Now I'm eye level with you guys. Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh in this game. The Cincinnati O-line obviously has been a big problem the last few years, and Pittsburgh's defensive line and their pass rush, run stop, whatever. It's been pretty good the last few weeks. Their secondary's playing to a better level. Something happened in this game too, and I already mentioned that earlier. I'll talk about that in a second. So I'm gonna go Pittsburgh in this game. Carolina versus Tennessee. I'm gonna go with Tennessee. Carolina is one of the worst teams in the league. Tennessee can have a decent game with Derrick Henry. Jacksonville versus Houston. I'm gonna go with Houston in a divisional matchup. This could be for the NFC South. Houston is just on one of the better runs this year. CJ Stroud, obviously, I talked about that earlier. But Jacksonville's defense, when I watch these games, I don't really pay attention to the defense because it hasn't been good since Saxonville. But I feel like they're a little bit on the underrated side, but they're still not good. You know what I mean? So New Orleans versus Atlanta. I'm gonna go with Atlanta. Derek Carr's injury is gonna be bad. Michael Thomas went on IR. Arizona's been playing pretty well against the last few teams that they've played. Kyler's been back playing pretty well too, so I'm going to go with Arizona. Cleveland versus Denver. I think Cleveland's defense is just going to overwhelm this Denver team. So Cleveland had the best defense in the league this year, so I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. Even though Denver I'm not going to say hasn't been playing bad, but they've definitely stepped it up. Good for them. Proud of you guys. Buffalo versus Philly. I'm going to go with Philly. They're best team in the league. They just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. And Buffalo has been lackluster this year against decent teams. So, Kansas City versus Vegas. No divisional matchup. I think KC takes it pretty easily. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. Nobody really. It's not hard to go into Allegiant Stadium to win. But I'm going to go KC. Baltimore versus LA. I'm going to go with Baltimore. No explanation there. Lamar MVP candidate. Chargers. What's going on? Chicago versus Minnesota. Primetime. Unfortunately, there's no primetime Kirk this year, but I still think Minnesota's going to take this win. Joshua Dobbs has been playing to a over expectations this year, but I'm gonna go with Minnesota. So week 12 predictions. To be honest, the only ones I feel like I can get wrong. I think I have all of the Thanksgiving games good. Miami. Oh, my lock of the week. I'm gonna go with man. I'm gonna go Dallas over Washington. That's gonna be my lock, and then my upset is gonna be man. I don't know. Probably Houston. I think I'm not 100% sure if Houston is the underdog over Jacksonville, but if they are, that's gonna be my upset. So I feel pretty good about this week. Yeah, we're good. Offensive player, defensive player of the week. So offensive player of the week. I didn't write it down. I didn't write his name down, but I just by the stats, I know who it is. 84% completion percentage, 333 yards, 3 touchdowns, perfect passer rating of 158.3, and a W. I'm gonna go with Brock Purdy. He's made a great statement for MVP this year. Good for him. Um, he had a great game against Tampa. He had a touchdown to Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and McCaffrey, I think. I don't know. But 333 and 3 touchdowns. Good for him. Defensive player of the week. Call me biased. I'm going to go with Jalen Phillips. You thought I was going to say Ramsey. No, I'm going to go with Jalen Phillips. He had 1 pick, 2 sacks, 6 tackles, 1 pass breakup, and 3 quarterback hits. I would have gave it to Ramsey, but I think those 2 sacks kind of puts him over the edge over Ramsey. I mean, you can say Ramsey, but Ramsey had 2 picks and 1 tackle. Phillips had 6 tackles, two sacks, and a pick. So I went with Jalen Phillips. He's been one of the best. I want to say one of the best, but he's been playing to a different level since last year. He has potential to have a breakout season this year. He's had a breakout season this year. I think on the year he has 5.5 sacks, I believe. So I think our leader is Bradley Chubb with 6. So we don't get to the quarterback that often, but Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, that 1-2 punch has been phenomenal so far the last few games, and he got that pick. So I'm gonna go with Jalen Phillips. And then for the news, obviously I feel like one of the bigger things was Shaquille Leonard getting released by the Colts, which was super out of nowhere, super surprising. I saw a lot of people talk about it. We don't really understand it. There has to be something that happened inside of the facility and with like him and like either the owner, the coaches, his teammates, whatever. I feel like something has to happen there to for this to happen. I don't know why they did it. He's a Pro Bowler. He's an All Pro. I guess he hasn't playing. He missed a few games last year, and um, I guess he's not playing to his expectations. But still, it's Shaq Leonard. You got it, bro. Another thing that happened was this was what I was gonna talk about. Matt Canada got fired. He has been fired as the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Finally, I know a lot of Steelers fans have been pretty good or pretty happy with this decision, which I feel like is a pretty good decision. So, um, Matt Canada, he's gone. Will he get picked up by another team? Most definitely, just because of his name, how long he's been with the Steelers, what he's done with the Steelers. He had a winning record with the Steelers, but I don't. That's not because of him. It's because of Mike Tomlin. But still, he still gets that credit for it. So I think he'll get picked up eventually. I don't know if I was gonna say pretty fast, but eventually he'll get picked up. Um, for the MVP race this year, I'm gonna go with every week. I'm gonna update you on my 5 MVP candidates this year. So, number one, I still think number one MVP candidate is Tua Tagovailoa. I can see why people say he's not, why he is, whatever. I think he is. Me personally, he's having his best year. Obviously, we have one of the better records in the AFC. I guess you could say football in general too, but um, he's been super consistent. Top three. He's third in passing yards, second in passing touchdowns, top three in completion percentage, passer rating, yards per attempt. He's the fastest when it comes to like snap to pass, but that's not really an MVP candidate stat, I guess. But I feel like he's still my number one. 2, I'm gonna go with C.J. Stroud. His touchdown to interception ratio is unbelievable. He's second in the league for passing yards. He's having one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. He's leading his team to a winning record. He might win the division. He could make the playoffs. I think he's my number 2. And number 3, I'm gonna go with Lamar Jackson. I don't have his stats on like the top of my head, but he's leading this team to one of the best records in the NFL. Uh, he got his bag, and we can see why he got his bag because he does stuff like this. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Brock Purdy. Obviously, he was my offensive player of the week. 333, 3 touchdowns, perfect passer rating. He's been making an MVP candidate since I feel like the beginning of the year. People won't give him his credit though because people say he's a system quarterback and blah blah blah. But I don't really think that matters. He's a freaking baller. So he's my number 4, and then at my number 5, I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek should be in this MVP conversation just because he has 1,200 receiving yards, which leads the league, 9 receiving touchdowns, which leads the league, top 5 in receptions. I think he's top 5 in yards per catch. I'm not 100% sure. And then he's on pace to break Calvin Johnson's receiving record. I think he's projected 2,100. So that's going to be my MVP race. And then power rankings. My last video was power rankings. So if you guys want to watch that video, come back to this one to see who fell, who rose. So biggest risers and fallers, I feel like I had the Ravens jumping up from 4 to 3, just over the Lions. So in that, it's gonna go Philly, KC, Baltimore, Detroit, and then Cowboys jumping up from 6 to 5 over the Dolphins. So it'll be Philly, KC, Detroit, or Philly, KC, Baltimore, Detroit, Dallas, Miami. So Miami falls over 1 just because of the lack of offensive play against us, and then Dallas obviously took care of the Panthers. So I have them jumping over the Dolphins. So they'll be at 5, Dolphins at 1 or at 6. Chargers fall from, I believe I had them at 15. They fall from 15 to 20, and then the Packers went from 27 to 23. So Packers jump, Chargers fall. So yeah, that's really what I had for the biggest. I mean, I guess for the falls, whatever. So yeah, I think that's it. I took care of everything on this board. Um, there wasn't really any news that happened that much in the league. So hope you all had a great day. Happy holidays to all you guys. Love you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment down what your favorite Thanksgiving meal is. And I'll catch y'all in the next video. See ya!